So, hello and welcome to another English episode of the SEO Presso podcast. My name is Björn Darko, and today I'm talking to Tamara Novitovic. She's head of SEO at Bazoom, a marketplace that connects brands with do-follow links. We will talk about the reincarnation of link building. So, hello, Tamara. How are you doing?
Hello, Björn. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm super happy to discuss backlinks for the 100th time this year. But it's changing so much that I think we will have enough to talk today.
And I have to explain, because we met in Aarhus, where you were with Bazoom, and you had a stand there at the conference. And it just, made me think like, yeah, I mean, for link builders or like for link marketplaces or whatever you want to call it, it must be golden times now, because with everything that's developing with LLM and AI search, where third-party mentions and citations are getting more and more important, like you must have a rush on the business. But we will talk about it later during that podcast. I want to start with something that might be a bit provocative, if you can say that, right? So we call this episode the reincarnation of link building, but was link building ever really dead, or did SEOs just stop talking openly about it? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I really like the term you used, reincarnation, because I think it's a good one. The public always thinks that the links are dead, and it's always a good conversation starter every year. You know, like on LinkedIn, we have a year wrap up, and then the next big question is SEO dead and is link building dead? That's my whole January every year. And you know, people like being scared, and I think going for these emotions with link building posts and new kind of case studies, I think it does well. There are some dynamics in the industry, and you could think that link building is dead every year because Google demotivates building links on purpose. You have all of these like no-nos from Google that you will be penalized if you get caught. But in reality, links are the most powerful signals at the moment. If you look at the link spam and how easily you can get penalized for links, so it's kind of contradictory. And I think people like having these strong emotions and then being scared of from building something. But in reality, we are making big bank in link building, I have to say. So I really don't see link building being dead. I like the reincarnation word, yeah.
But why do you think that backlinks became such a controversial topic in SEO, even though, like, I do still believe authority matters, right? And link building can help to build up authority for a brand as well. But I also see that, like, in the market reality, if I open up LinkedIn like every day or so, like I get a personal message from people reaching out if I'm interested in guest post or buying backlinks, right? And it's kind of annoying. It came a spammy kind of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand side, I would think, like, if those people do this every day, and I'm not the only person that they reach out to, right? It must still must be a market somewhere, right? Otherwise, they would stop doing that.
Yes, definitely there is a market for everything and anything. But I think when people realize there is so much money in this area, they started abusing it big time.
Yeah.
And if you remember the Penguin update, that was before my SEO time, but I think 2012 or whatever, they were going big time on links because they realized that the links are doing so good and, building up quickly, giving authority to the websites very quickly, that Google just said, okay, it's time to stop because this is actually taking away our authority as Google, in a way.
Yeah.
So I think after that, there is a certain generation of SEOs that said, okay, now we should not touch links anymore. And all of these spammers are, a big no-no. But, I come from one of the biggest companies in link building, and I'm still there after 5 years, and we're still growing. So the market tells me different, and the cases that we do are telling me a way different story. And we will tap into LLMs later, and they're also telling a very interesting story. So,
Uh,
if you
but,
look,
but,
if you follow money, you will see.
but can you like draw, or like can you categorize which? So if I look at I look at Germany, the market in Germany now. I look at maybe Switzerland because I have some kind of view on that, right? So link building and actively building links like for big marketplaces and stuff is kind of out of the discussion, yes, because there's other things that we need to do. But if you look at maybe industries or countries per se, based on your experience with Bazoom, is there any specific where you see, okay, these are highly demanding versus them not, right? Like, can you distinguish that?
Yes, I do agree with you on the e-commerce side and marketplaces. You guys have a whole different ecosystem, but for SaaS, for example, those sites that are it's harder to convert their customers, on one page. So they have a huge funnel to go through. I think links are actually a good path or direction to take with authority and those credibility signals, also the signals for a keyword. I can see those kind of models working good with link building. And I have to say, aggressive and competitive niches like iGaming, crypto, fintech, even medical as well, where the
Yeah,
compliance allows. It's very, very interesting to see how it just triggers the whole string of
yeah, especially
rankings and signals.
I can imagine, especially where the market is really competitive, like gaming, and you also have restrictions on Google side, right? Like
Yeah.
gaming, right? Where like this can be a key differentiator in the competitiveness. But like if we talk about links, and maybe that's also not clear and sometimes for me it's also not clear, right? Where do you personally draw the line between digital PR, content placement, outreach, or paid link building?
Well, it was easier before to do that, but today everything is mashed together because of the LLM visibility that prefers all of it together. But to me, traditional link building doesn't need to be just black and white. Just link a keyword on a do follow link, and then you're good. So it is hard for me to draw a line. But digital PR is more towards your brand, of course. It doesn't even need a link in the end. And then all the rest is link building to me. So I would maybe just separate digital PR as a, you know,
Yeah.
um, different boy in the game, but link building, outreach, everything is meshed together.
Okay. Then let's talk about AI search and the return of third-party authority, I would call it now. Like with LLMs and AI search rising, many people now say brands need to be cited and mentioned in third-party sources. Like if you as a brand, you go to an agency and you tell them, look, we want to grow in visibility in AI search and LLMs. They will tell you, okay, you need to be happen more on third-party. They need to mention you positively and increase citation and stuff. Isn't that basically link building coming back just under a new name?
Yes, definitely is. And I've been talking about this for the last year on in my speeches and giving examples. But the industry doesn't want to believe that so hard that I actually had to go and make a case study with Ahrefs because
Mm.
I needed some solid proof. Because if you just claim that something is happening without a proof, it's not going to pass. So we ended up doing a research, and it did show that it's kind of mashed together as well. It kind of works with each other. The good thing for link building is that it kind of evolves today with LLMs, so we don't need a do follow link 100% of the times anymore for it to work. And for link builders that are in the game for years, it's actually a very good time in the job market because all of these link building tactics, the smaller ones, not just guest posting, but also citations, brand mention, unlinked mentions are, I think, the biggest one. Link insertions as well. they are actually the stuff that LLMs prefer today. So if you did all of those tactics, I think you will have such a good time with LLM visibility and results.
So we can say the brand mentions, citations, core occurrences, or even also just being mentioned without cited and stuff is kind of becoming the new backlinks, right? Or do
Yes.
follow links still matter in just as much?
They do matter in a way. So we should not forget that LLMs also look at Google rankings, Google SERP still. So they do have a certain um, uh, amount of using data from SERP, for example. So you need links to appear in SERP as well. So you kind of there is a backdoor to LLMs through that way, and through citations and all the unlinked stuff. Um, People also just look at the surface, I would say. They just think that you need, as you said, in a positive context or just a mention of your brand. But I think it's more about the semantics and keywords as well. So the whole paragraph, I think it's important rather than just a mention in a sentence.
Yeah.
So there is, it's not just something that you can automate that easily. You need a strategy for that as well.
Yeah, I mentioned in the beginning, right? It feels like a gold rush era again, also for backlinks and stuff. Have you seen a change in demand at Bazoom since the rise of ChatGPT, AI overviews, or LLM visibility? Are clients asking for different things now? Is that like the business per se, or like the leads that you generate are getting bigger and bigger, and you can't handle them? Or like, can you give us a bit of a glimpse into Bazoom's business there?
Mm-hmm. Not so much. Maybe that would surprise you, but it's maybe just a tiny fraction of the usual stuff. Everybody's just doing their usual. We actually had increases in the link building budget significantly, and it's still those traditional stuff with a little bit of change in content. So we are not just doing basic guest posting anymore. That's off the table. That's, we're beyond that. Passed over, and right now we're doing experimenting with content so that it kind of triggers both LLM and SEO with the same budget. This is something that I really like doing lately. Also, my talk on the conference where we met was about that specifically. That you can just spend the same budget with both results. So we don't really see that many clients with big budgets rushing into AI that
Mm-hmm.
much because at the end of the day, you don't really have solid brand new tactics that AI brought in. It's just going back to stuff that we did and improving with some new ideas. So this is something that the approach that we are taking. So we don't have an AI dashboard. We don't have AI, visibility or whatever. I don't know if you guys are using any. I bet you're using some AI tactics right now.
Yeah, and we of course
Or
also measuring, and what I always like to say is like, I think it's the first time that you make link building visible in the sense that you can, like, you make it visible in those tools because you see, okay, you get a mention by these and these domains, by these and these brands, right? And they either
yeah.
mention you positively or negative. And this is kind of making it very, very visible, which
Hmm.
you could have done before as well, but you just get the domain or like the URL that is linking to you, but you don't kind of get the context, right? And now it's the first time that you get it, and I think it's a beautiful thing to look at the mentions and citations like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it tells more about the brand than just a link. A link is
Yeah.
more like something that you can calculate, but citation and AI visibility gives you more story about the brand. But I
Yeah.
have to also say, when you mentioned that before we just had a URL, we did have context before, like we did have before and after the keyword in a sentence, but people just didn't want to focus on that because they were just focused on DR, like how can I increase my DR? Is my keyword ranking higher? But they were not tracking the context. We did have these in SEO tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, etc. But
Yeah.
nobody ever wanted to track this because they didn't seem
But
important.
but DR is a good like domain authority is what we are referring to. Is actually a good like it's a good keyword. Like, is that still a thing in also in LLMs?
Not that much. So the domain rating is, just mathematical calculation of how many guys are linking to you and how big they are. But domain authority, I prefer better. It gives a bit more value, like traffic, not just the amount of links. So that one is closer to like an ultimate link metric to me. But still, um, I would say that measuring DR and DA as a KPI today in link building is waste of the budget. In the research that we did with Ahrefs, it actually went against their DR product because it showed that ChatGPT and AI mode didn't really prefer super high authority websites with high DRs. They did it for the first ranks, like top one, but they would cite sites that don't have almost any backlinks, or they just have maybe some tiny weak backlinks in their portfolio. So it doesn't really make sense that they're just because they don't operate the way Google operates or Ahrefs or whatever.
Yeah, that's also my observation, right? Whereas we like back then, we always say, okay, we need a high authority site that links to us. Now, no, like let's go for the big news sites, right? No matter if like that is somewhat related to our business, or like from Wikipedia,
Yeah.
or like these high authority things. And it seems to me like that nowadays, like especially LLMs look at very niche specific sites, right? So very small sites also
Yes.
that, could have popped up just last week, but, had a great, I don't know, listicle or a great pro and contra
Trending. Yeah.
trending stuff, right? And we're mentioning you. And so you get a citation or a link from there, and that helps already, right? So more
Yeah.
niche specific and topic related, it
Yeah.
seems, at least to me.
Context.
Yeah,
Yes.
context.
Context, semantics, and all of that. You do need some domain rating. You need some basic portfolio still because you need to be visible. You need to be rankable in a way. So I don't think that it's not important anymore. But you don't need to focus your whole strategy. When clients come to Bazoom with crazy budgets and their primary KPIs build me DR 65 plus, and I'm like, no, we can do so much better with ranking you higher or getting you traffic. Or no, we will have traffic once we have DR. And then I'm like, okay, I will take your money gladly because you don't know what you're doing. But I always try to tell them that maybe open your mind a little bit more and look
Yeah.
into data.
Yeah. Let's unpack a bit what makes a good link today. So, like in 2026, what is a good link and what is a bad link, maybe? Can you elaborate on this one?
A good link is a relevant link in good neighborhood, something that your user would actually click on. I wouldn't go into too much complicated details, but where you want your yeah.
No, this is a very good, like you said it very well. And I just want to jump on this. Like, is a good link really something that a user clicks on or like a reader clicks on? Because then you can be sure that the link was really relevant to what they are reading within the context of where the link
Yes.
is placed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those over optimized articles that are like, they have all of your keywords, they have all of your clusters and everything, and everything is optimized, but I would never click on a forced link in this article. So
Yeah.
I always tend to look like, what would I do if I want to buy these sneakers, for example? Would I want to click on buy these sneakers in white color on this website?
Yeah.
So yeah, back to good and bad. That would be my first layer, and then of course, geo, where you are, the market, it needs to align. You want to be present primarily in your country, target country, and if the website is actually publishing not just your article relevant, but also everything else. You don't want to be published in some crappy general BBNs.
Yeah.
And bad backlink would be something that it's just linked to exist randomly on a page with no traffic whatsoever. So probably not going to get indexed, probably not going to get you cited. So yeah, that's
If I tell you my beginning as an SEO, I used the tools called what was the name? Scrapebox. It was a cool tool called Scrapebox, and I automated forum links and social bookmarks, like 150 per day was my goal always. That was
you.
2011. It
Oh,
still
okay.
works.
You are the reason this is happening.
No, I just did it for half a
Okay.
year, and then I Anyways,
Yeah, no. I did
uh,
outreach as my first job. That's
so
also
so you were
low level.
you were spamming my LinkedIn DMs.
Yes, I was offering you buy link for €5.
So you see,
Yeah,
we both have a bad reputation or bad history. Like
yeah,
everyone starts, kind of. Anyways, in this context, is
yeah,
there like anchor text plays a huge role, like in traditional link building, right?
yeah.
Have you seen anything within LLMs that anchor text also matters?
I would say so. Yes, they don't really like exact match as we did back in the day. So they like those longer keywords. They like something that resembles a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it actually makes sense when you look at how they operate. Like if you look at RAG and how it all works, they like something that triggers an answer to a user's question that they usually get. So, longer keywords, I would say, and they actually like a brand keyword. So, like maybe exact match of your product and your brand name mixed up.
Okay.
That's also something that really, really gives more speed in visibility or citations.
So something like the new, I don't know, air fryer from Ninja is best to cook like fries.
Yeah, um, something like that, I would say, or I don't know, Ninja's newest air fryer or
Oh, like this.
Ninja's
Okay.
solution for frying fast or something like that. Something that gives them idea that your brand is giving a quick answer and is a solution to their question.
Yeah.
That's what they like in the keyword. It also makes sense because if you tie your brand to an exact match keyword that's competitive, you're also in that cluster for the main keyword. So um, we actually have a lot of options today, which is very cool. You can play around with it.
Yeah. And like back then, when I automated the process of foreign links and things, like quantity was like the main KPI, right? Nowadays, is quality more important than quantity, or do like competitive markets like gambling and pills and all this kind of stuff
Mm.
still require both?
No, I think quality is taking the first spot right now. Of course, if you're a gaming affiliate operating from a mirror URL from, I don't know, Eastern Slavic countries, you would just buy 100 links. Quantity would help you there. But if you are a serious brand that doesn't want to lose a lot, you would go for quality first.
Okay. So, like, let's talk about the future a bit, right? So, if you had to build a modern authority strategy for a brand today, right? What would be your first three priorities when it comes to do so?
I
Like
would
building
just,
authority.
yeah, building authority. Yeah, connect with other bigger brands or blogs that are writing about brands in your niche first. I wouldn't skip news, although you said that maybe they're not, that good anymore as an option. But news are always good when you're starting. So you need more paths toward your website. So I would, besides relevancy, I would go for news when you're starting, because there you can mention put your brand linked without thinking too much about, am I strong enough to do this? Am I big enough to do this yet? And did you need three things or just any?
Any.
Just anything, yeah. Um, and yeah, like multiply, increase like by either 30 or 40% every month. That's what we're doing with new brands. It's a kind of a formula that always works. So yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's a really hard time. Not a like really hard time, but it's a hard time. And I guess like for many in-house SEOs as well, most probably, like we have now this shiny new world of LLMs, right? We know third-party mentions, citation are important. So we are in this old kind of discussion between SEO needs to become more marketing or more branding and need to talk more to communications and stuff, right? So if like let's say now we go towards the end of the year, right? And then my boss tells me, hey Björn, we need a strategy for AI search, right? We need to increase citations and brand mentions and visibility per se, right? And I know now also from our discussion, okay, like external sites are like a key driver, so I need to make sure to happen there. But at the end of the day, it's not really my job as like in-house SEO to create those stories and those campaigns around it. But I need to talk more to the brands and communication teams. But whenever I do that, they seem to not really getting it, right? So like how would be your approach to actually integrate it more into, so that they also understand how important it is and that they also can steer against it, whatever mentioned citations, maybe sentiment against steering against sentiments, what needs to be done from a link building perspective.
Yeah, it's really difficult with those. When you go into enterprise level or whenever you have a huge marketing team, then it starts to be difficult with link building. And I know that because we have all of these different type of clients, we have small in-house brands and everything, and to each of them you need to present link building differently. So to a small brand, they really don't want to invest a lot of money into a link because they're not going to see it convert that much. To also, if you go very high into enterprise, they need a huge amount of leads. They have those crazy ideas about KPIs, and you can't really show that much with link building either in that way because it's not so easy to track what they're doing on this day or in the last month. So what we do in those situations is that we show, let's say, 3 to 6 months of their previous, like historically in the past. We try to find if they did build links or didn't build links, and then we benchmark against their biggest competitors that are doing link building. And then when we show this difference, it tends to trigger some, reactions from those CMOs or head of growth or whoever it is. This is the only way that we can actually show the value of link building and how to make it look important enough to integrate into everyday work. So, and then there is a question how to integrate it actually. If you have resources, you will do it in-house. You would hire maybe outreach manager or somebody to deal with off-page. But if you don't, you would opt for a marketplace like Bazoom or others out there, or an agency that does this through us or directly. So there are different options depending on the budgets and how well you're coordinating with your team. So if that answers your question, I don't know.
It answers the question, yeah. And I also maybe have an add-on, because what I'm trying currently to do, and like I found it really convincing to compare to competitors, because marketing, executives and stuff, they really liked it. How good are we against our competitors, so that they can, that they can kind of, how do you say, like tell it all their
trigger,
their trigger and pierce. What I also like is, like, now with all those AI visibility tools, and you see this like sentiments, right? Negative and positive sentiments. I also I just built and report that I'm going to send now to the head of marketing, where I say, look, we are very negatively in those areas mentioned, and the sentiment is very negative, whereas our competitors are very positive in those, right? And that's kind of triggering also, emotions and say, no, this can't be, and blah, 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 blah. Like one thing is, for example, that, because we are market leader, right, in most of our marketplaces that we run, and pricing is always something that is being discussed on the internet, right? And also LLMs take pricing as a, negative sentiment, so to speak. What you could do now as a PR and brand communications department is, write an article about why are we so pricey versus the others, because maybe put out the benefits, right? We have more variety in inventory, better product management, right? More exposed to the market.
Yeah.
Like really listing all of those benefits, and just, not arguing, but making sure that people understand why it is so pricey, right? That could be one strategy, for example, right? And boom, you already have a link building, or kind of a PR campaign.
Yeah, a campaign. Yeah, definitely. We
idea.
did actually the same thing. We had some negative Reddit comments a few years ago, and we don't really want to go on Reddit and say, hey, this is not okay that you wrote this, or this is not true, because Redditors are a special breed of people. And you will not have a good time if you do that. And then instead, we just realized we can just ignore this and keep doing what we're doing. Write a few blog posts and kind of just erase this negative signal, like neutralize it with more positive. And it actually worked. So sometimes the negative, it's also a thing with links. When you get attacked with negative link spam, that is one of the worst penalties you can get, because you don't know where they came from. It's very difficult to clean them up. It's such a hard job handling that. And despite what Google says, negative links can actually harm your website. Like, links are still important in that way. And how do you deal with this? You can disavow, you can maybe try to complain to Google. That is a very small possibility you will get an answer or a solution. And what do you do? What is left to do? Build new links, keep those link spam in the past, like just leave them there because you cannot clean them up, but you can build up a stronger portfolio, and you can build up more kind of authority or whatever. So this is the solution that actually works, and just move on and keep building better. So
absolutely, 100% agree. And I've been through this twice already, like disavowing a lot of links because of the penalty. As you said, it's not happy time as an SEO, especially work here in-house, because there's also a lot of questions why, and then you have to explain why that happened, and then they ask you, okay, but you bought them, like, is it kind of your fault, right? But anyways, and what I wanted to say is actually, with the example of the pricing example that I just gave, like all those mentioned citations and stuff, and really looking at how are we going to be mentioned, is, as you also said, right, a very good link building strategy in AI search, because you know already what is being discussed in LLMs, and how an LLM perceives you as a value, as a brand, as as a service, and steering against it with ideas in kind of this link building bubble could be a very good strategy from my point of view.
Yes, definitely. As long as you're doing it outside of LLMs. I need to emphasize this very much because I've seen, I don't know if you've seen, but lately I see a lot of guys, AI experts or whatever, advising you to write about your brand in the LLM to it. So it learns. But have you heard about that? I'm seeing it a lot lately. So like, if you want your brand to be positively seen, you need to feed LLM with this and this, and then pass
So
it into
in every prompt you mention is, hey, is Bazoom the best link building marketplace, or is SEO Presso the best podcast? Like stuff like that.
Yeah, you need, but directly to the Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, which is silly to me. But don't forget that you need to do it outside. You need to publish on other websites or your own website, so it kind of indexes. Because I see a lot of people actually starting to believe this prompting into LLM.
Did we forget anything, Tamara, talking about anything that is important when it comes to that topic?
I think we've said a lot. I feel like people still believe that links are expensive, that it takes a lot of money to actually make them work, which is not true. I would like to remind them that you can do a lot with one link only. As we said, quality versus quantity. And you can also test with links. If you need to prove to your bosses, you can always make a sample of, you can do a link exchange. You don't need to go to a marketplace. Now I'm going against my boss here. You can just go and exchange a few links or exchange a few blog posts. It's free. You only need to write the content. So there you can test it out and you can show it to your higher management, upper management. I think that's all from my side.
Very cool. So thank you very much, Tamara. It was an interesting discussion, and actually the first time that I talked about link building in this podcast, which also tells a story, right?
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it's me and not some black hat link builder, because then you would have a different answers.
Most probably,
maybe we should do like a fight off black hat versus me in link building.
Yeah, so there's a guy in Germany which I really highly respect. His name is Lars Weber. He's been on a podcast also twice, and he's a guy that analyzes spam tactics, and is often being called by agents when their sites are down or they have an attack, like a cyber attack or something. And he can tell stories. Oh my God! Like also with sometimes also have to do with link spam, but also like where servers got hacked and stuff. Could be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I always love to do that, because you can learn so much from these attacks. I learned a lot myself, how to see links, and I changed some of my thoughts about links from those attacks. So I think it's a very good power to have and skill. But
cool.
Thank you for inviting me, and I really enjoyed your questions.
Thank you.
And I hope it goes well for the audience.
We'll see. Thank you so much. And we see and hear us again next week on the SEO Presso podcast. Thanks, Tamara, and see you soon.